Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Comic Experience Sci-Fi Podcast. I'm Denver, and today I am joined by special guest Bryan Harris from, now correct me, I want to make sure I get this right, Capital City Comic Con, correct?
That is 100% correct.
Awesome.
Capital
Well,
City Comic Con, Lansing, Michigan.
beautiful. Well, first, thank you for joining us today. Appreciate it. And let me just ask you, how did you guys get started? I mean, what was the impetus for the show?
Well, let's see. So truth be told, I'm not one of the original founders, and my partner Tim, he is not one of the original founders. We actually are left here by attrition. So the original founders were 5 individuals who from the Lansing area who wanted to do something fun and be part of the comic book community. And then a partner left because of personal reasons. They think that he moved away, and I personally had an opportunity to buy in because I was friends with a couple of people that were on the ownership member committee, and so I bought into it in after the 2016 show. The show was originally founded in 2015. So once I got into the show, I became had a lot of fun. We made a lot of good positive changes. I got into it because I have always been a fan of pop culture. I mean, I've been a nerd since I don't know. I was the first memory I ever had in my life was the first movie I ever remember seeing in my life was The Empire Strikes Back when I was about 4 years old. So yeah, I was sort of hooked then. So and yeah, I had the opportunity to get into it, and I'm like, well, I can't turn this down. So I've always wanted to be a part of this. So but I've been a part of comic, at least pop culture conventions since I was a teenager. Like when I was in high school, I used to be a part of Star Trek conventions, and back in the Detroit area. And so I got into this, and then I like building and doing comic book conventions because we get an opportunity to do something special and unique, but also I really like making the community. I mean, this is a place where we get to make an environment, make a community for all of us fans who don't necessarily fit into everyday society to find our people. You know what I mean? Like, there's so many stories of people who are like, I go to conventions because that's where my people are. You know what I mean? Like the first time I brought one of my young nephews to a comic book convention, he's like, "Oh my God, these are my people," and I'm like, "I told you, like this is this is what I do. This is what we do. We make a community, bring people together. They celebrate all these things, an inclusive environment, and that's why we keep doing it. 'Cause, it's a labor, a passion, a love. So we make these things for people. So I got into it. And then, like 2 years later, there were some other opportunities. My friend, Tim, who I've been friends with for 20 some odd years, I pulled him into it because, he's a comic encyclopedia. Like he knows everything there is to know about comic books more than I do. And really passionate about it. And he's worked in comic book conventions and gaming conventions, so he had the experience. So we worked together, and then, after a couple of years, the other partners, they just sort of, left, and we really didn't look for anybody else to come back in, and now it's just Tim and I running the whole show. So it's been just Tim and I for about the last 5 years. So, and it's worked pretty well. So,
Well, let me ask you this. Every show seems to kind of have its own special personality. Some
mhm.
lean more comic book centric, some more horror, sci-fi. Do you guys,
Right.
you've got like a little, I guess, niche that you like to focus on?
So I really think that we try to focus on the independent comic book creators. Like, I mean, prior to moving up to the Lansing Center, which is where we're at now, in 2022, we moved, decided to go big, and we moved to the Lansing Center. Went to 3 days from our 1 day show, which was on MSU's campus for the last, for several years. And prior to this year, we didn't have celebrity guests. We didn't have, pop culture guests. We might have had like one. The rest of our people were comic industry celebrities, if you will. We had people that had worked in comics for decades, or were mainstays in that, or were local comic creators and artists that were part of the local Michigan community. And then we always have a large artist alley, and we particularly focus on our artist alley and curate it to make sure that the majority of the people that are in our artist alley are comic book artists with comic books, not pinup artists, not crafters or people who, they do have art and they are artists, but they're not comic book artists. So we bring comic book artists to our show, and we try to make sure we have a wide selection of comic book vendors as well. Like, we painstakingly curate our exhibitor hall to make sure that we have comic book vendors that are selling, the classic old school, golden and silver age stuff, to the 90s and 80s stuff, to the current modern stuff, and then all quality of books from dollar books all the way up to your thousands of dollars of books. Like, we try to make sure that we have vendors that kind of cover all the bases. And then the oddball stuff too, the mainstream stuff and kind of the oddball stuff, so we may not have like thousands of vendors, but we make sure that we have a wide selection of vendors in our vendor hall. So we take a lot of time on our vendor hall to make sure that there is a little bit of everything for everyone, and that there's no vendors that are getting out competed, or that we don't have 12 guys selling pops, 15 guys selling Legos. We only have one or two guys doing that, or one or two guys doing this. And if we get a bunch of people that are selling that, well, sorry, you're on the wait list. So it's definitely not first come, first serve at our convention. So, and that's one of the things that kind of sets us apart, because we do that. So our focus is on comic books, where our focus is on a well curated exhibitor hall, so that people can find what they're looking for, and they get something that's unique, and they're not seeing the same stuff every time they turn a corner, and that they really get the feel that they can find something new and interesting. And they go down the artist alley, and it's like, look at all these interesting, new, never before seen comic books from these local artists. That's what we try to support, are actual artists. So,
Yeah, that sounds great. We are along the same lines. We love featuring comic books artists and writers on our show, so we are right there with you. Tell me, how are plans going for this year's show?
This year is going pretty good. Like, I think, I mean, I don't know. It's always herding cats, right? We're shows starts June 30th, so we got until the end of June. It's middle of February. We'll say this year we're contracted to come in for replica cars. We're getting our gaming areas all squared away. I got some great people working on that. So, I mean, we're coming together. We're getting some good sponsors in. Everything's coming together pretty well. We're just kind of been working the last couple of weeks on our Kickstarter. We've got that rolling out here.
Yeah,
Um,
talk to me a little bit about the Kickstarter. I know you guys just launched it.
yeah,
That seems fairly unique to the Comic-Con world, at least in the Michigan area. We haven't
right.
seen that too much yet.
Yeah, so it is nothing that any of the local cons of Michigan has done it before. And we have a real good friend who's in in the con circuit nationally, like, and a lot of other cons in other parts of the country, they do fundraising Kickstarters for their conventions of all scales, small conventions, big conventions, and they'll Kickstarter to try and just do a couple of things. So, one, it helps us raise a little revenue and get a little cash in our pocket up front so that maybe we can bring in an additional special guest or add a little extra flair, maybe bring in something a little higher end that we hadn't really anticipated doing. Secondly, it does put out a lot of extra marketing for us because people love Kickstarters and they tend to follow them and they tend to get behind them. It really just helps us get the word out. So, and it gives, people something a little extra, so we get to make these extra experiences because a lot of the special guests that we've worked with to make some of these great pledge levels, they were really excited to get involved. And, like we've got some unique and interesting pledges. For instance, we've got some special prints from a couple of our special guests that are from, let's see, we got David Roman, who's a Rick and Morty cover artist for the Rick and Morty comic book series. He's doing a custom a custom cover for one of his pieces, and it's going to be a remarked piece. So each one of the 20 or so that are available is going to be slightly different and completely unique, autographed, numbered, and that's one of the pledge levels. Also comes with a weekend pass. Then we've got who else? Bill Morris is going to do a Simpsons version of that. We've got Celebrity Dinner with Ming Chen is one of our options. We've got a unique custom sculpt by Rob Miller, one of our local sci-fi face-off celebrities. Who's, if you've ever met him, he's a great guy and extremely talented. He's going to do a custom statuette just for us. Only available through the Kickstarter. And then we've also got, if you want to go big, we've got a day in Rob Miller's studio with him. So if you want to learn how to do his sculpting, learn from him for a day, you get to go to his studio and you get to, experience and really pick his brain. And we've got, Kickstarter special on VIP passes, weekend passes, and then if you want to be with us every year as a VIP, we have a golden standard lifetime VIP. So if you want, you can be a VIP forever one time, pay it up front, and you're a VIP forever. So
That's awesome. I'm sure you've got a lot of people that come every year, your regulars, so that would
we
make
do.
perfect sense for them.
Yeah. So, and that gets you into everything. So, we've got we're excited about it. We've never done it before. Personally, I've never done a Kickstarter before, so this has been a huge learning experience for me. We learned so much about how to put this together, talk to people, and just learning how excited people get about it when they hear you're doing a Kickstarter. Yeah, we're going to do a Kickstarter. Oh, great, we're going to get on board with that. Just offhand mentioning it to some of the special guests, and they're like, "Well, we'll do anything you want." So, and they're like, and I'm like, "Well, do you want anything extra for them?" No, that's all right. We'll do it. Like, that's awesome. So, but and we're doing it for those things. It's not like, our convention wouldn't go off if we didn't get the Kickstarter off, but it's just going to be, that little extra. So that'll get us there. So
I think it's a great idea. If anything, it's a unique feature. Since, like you mentioned, no one else is really doing it around here.
Yeah.
Let me ask you, do you have any long-term plans for the show as far as, where you see it maybe 5 years down the road? Do you have like a grand vision for it?
Uh, you know, we always want to make, more more elements to it, bring in more things that people will be interested in, and try and create a bigger, wider community. Because, you know, I always say we want to broaden the net to bring in a wider variety of patrons, so that maybe we can get them interested in our comic book community. So and that means, trying to appeal to a wider audience. So how do we do that? Well, you know, coming up with creative things. Like, we've talked to people about doing all kinds of different things. I've got some people that want us to do, a wrestling match. They want us to do an MMA thing. They want us to do, a giant esports tournament. We have a small esports section, but they want us to do, like, a major esports thing. Expanding our gaming area, because this year we added back tabletop gaming. Last year we didn't have it because we didn't really have the space. We were trying to figure out how to make that work. This year we did some contract adjustments, and we got more space over in the Radisson Hotel adjacent to the Lansing Center, and so we've added back tabletop gaming. We'd like to grow that and make that a bigger event. We'd like to add more after-hour events for people, and really just kind of try and make the event something that's not only a better comic book event for us and for our little community, but also something that helps the local downtown Lansing area too, because we're bringing in thousands of people. All those people are staying downtown. It's really helping local businesses. So we want to see continual growth. Maybe we move to an extra day. We are able to expand our hours. We're able to bring more features. We're able to bring higher profile guests. But in the end, the Lansing Center has a cap. Like, it's only so big. The Radisson's only so big. And so, we're going to get as big as we can, and then we'll be comfortable there. So, I'll be brutally honest. Are we ever going to be able to bring in somebody like Robert Downey Jr.? No, but we'll do what we can, and with everybody's support, we'll keep making the show as good as we can. So
Awesome. And let me ask you, for those not familiar with the Lansing area, what's the comic book culture like? Is it a pretty thriving scene? You got good selection, comic shops and things like that.
Well, there's 4 or 5 comic book shops in the greater Lansing area, and they're all, and gaming stores, combined, and they're all pretty successful. They all made it through COVID. Let's just put it that way. Which is a big feat. Lansing itself is, and East Lansing specifically, it's always been kind of a center of comic book art. There's a lot of comic book artists that came out of the Lansing area, as well as the Detroit area, Michigan in general. Michigan State University, for instance, has the largest publicly owned comic book collection in the world, which you can go take a tour of it if anybody's interested in it. We work with the curator, and he's a very interesting guy, but extremely knowledgeable. Yeah. And then we have an actual comic book arts minor program at Michigan State University as well. So one of the reasons why we have a lot of really good comic book artists in the greater Lansing area is because Michigan State University is literally churning them out. So, yeah. So yeah, there's a lot of artists in the area, a lot of creators in the area, and we've got some great stores in the area that help support the community. So
awesome. Well, before we wrap it up, can you tell us where people can go to find out more information, what your website and your Kickstarter is?
Sure. We can go to www.capcitycomiccon.com. And from there, you can find links to our Facebook page. You can find links to our Kickstarter from there. I couldn't even begin to tell you what our Kickstarter web app
Oh, that's
is.
okay. As long as I can get to it from the website.
Yeah, get it from our website. It's entirely too long. And then follow us on social media, and you'll be able to keep up to date with everything. Join our mailing list. You'll be able to do that. And if you're really bored or really excited about, passionate about it, you can always volunteer with us, and we bribe you with things like T-shirts and lunch. So,
And what are those dates? I know it's the last weekend in June. What are the dates?
June 30th, July 1st, July 2nd, this summer. And, don't forget our Kickstarter. The show runs 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. On Friday, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. on Saturday, and 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Sunday. But we also have after-hour events on Friday and Saturday for those that wish to partake. And in the hotel attached to the Lansing Center on Friday night, we have karaoke, which is free for everybody. On Saturday, we'll have trivia over there. And we got some VIP events too. On Friday night, we have an event that's extremely popular called Cigars and Stars. Downtown Cigar Club on Washington. We invite a select group of our special guests to come over and enjoy us and enjoy that club for an evening, for a couple hours on Friday evening after the show closes down in the Lansing Center. And then on Saturday, we also have what we call the drink and draw over at the bar at the Radisson, the hotel, where all the artists from Artist Alley and our special guests, they come over, and we have them do sketches and art. We collect those, and we donate the proceeds from selling those as well. So it's a really great time because there's drink tickets involved, and everybody stays up too late enjoying each other's company and sketching new custom art. Like, people collaborate new and interesting ways. It's a lot of fun. So
yeah, it sounds like a lot of fun. I can't wait to check it out. We encourage everybody to do the same. And Bryan, thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Love being here.
And good luck. I hope the Kickstarter goes well and you get a big booming crowd.
That'd be great. You, me, both. So.
All right. Thanks again. I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Great.